So I work for Galop. We're an LGBT anti-violence charity. Just to say, it's really nice to see people all in the same room. So many kind of faces of people who really kind of, you know, do lots of fantastic work challenging hate crime. It's nice to see people get together. In that vein, I think it's worth saying, Mark, thank you for sorting out today and for getting the day together. I know that you were saying that pretty much it's kind of unfunded and it's a big graft to get everything together, so well done. I should say as well, if anyone works for local authorities or anyone else that has any pots of funding, I think it's worth considering, you know, giving Mark the nods. Galop, we're an anti-violence charity. We do work challenging hate crime, domestic abuse and sexual violence. The core bit of what we do is service provision, so direct support, advice, advocacy to LGBT people facing hate crime. But also we do work working with kind of local organisations around kind of building capacity through information resources, training, that kind of thing, research campaigns and partnership work. So lots of folks around the room that we do bits and pieces with, so it's nice to see people here. So this is where everything is probably going to go horribly wrong, but I'm going to try and play a video that currently is out there that we're kind of currently releasing. Let me have a crack at.
No sexual identity, no gender identity is wrong. You're not sick. You're just you. You're entirely valid the way that you are, the way that you identify, the way that, you know, whoever you're attracted to, that's allowed. There's nothing wrong with you.
I think if we look to the old headlines and compare them to the new headlines, they're still just as shocking, really. Still, people aren't really getting it or understanding, even though we have made progress. But the headlines now are still as shocking as they were 100 years ago.
So I wasn't that surprised by the headlines because it feels like every day you're getting inundated with really negative ones, but it was really interesting to have a look at themes and trends that have kind of continued on, of how some of us were the same in the past and how some of them have changed but been directed to new communities, or slightly changed but the core idea is still the same, of kind of this otherness and who is right, who is wrong, who is us and who is them.
When it comes to equality, we're getting there. We are by no means there yet. And the fact that we're, you know, taking apart these really negative headlines and putting them together to create new, positive, empowering headlines, you know, laughter is one of the best medicines. And it is, in a way, it's a fun activity. It's comforting to be able to laugh at the past and be like, wow, look how wrong this was. Look how great we can make this now.
Being within this group is quite liberating. Everyone's obviously very open and accepting, and it's quite good that we're in a position to be able to make light of these horrific headlines and kind of turn them into something positive. A community
is about diversity,
kindness,
pride,
And respect.
standing
together
We can influence
change
to achieve equality.
more
speaking,
Less
silence.
and stigma.
One of the things that this Hate Crime Awareness Week that we're going to be looking to challenge is this idea that LGBT equalities have kind of been achieved. I think that's one of the really kind of key things that we butt up against really often is, I know that for folks around the room, you know, Stop Hate UK, lots of folks who work with victims of hate crime, it's really clear that people face really high levels of violence and abuse and just the prejudice and discrimination that kind of underlies it. Whereas I think as soon as you put something like this up online, you get great strings of comments saying, I don't know what you're going on about. You know, I mean, this is something in the past. Things are okay now. So I think, especially say when you have Pride, you know, this year London has been kind of completely kind of covered in rainbows, the whole streets. And there were some kind of signifiers of anti-LGBT prejudice that are still there. So you look at the kind of debate about inclusion in schools. Some of the parents are unhappy about LGBT equality being kind of raised in classrooms. You look at the huge amount of transphobia that has been kicked up this last year or two. They're two kind of visible parts of a really disturbing turn back towards anti-LGBT prejudice that I think across the strands we're all seeing. I think that there are certain bits of the media that are picked up on bits of it, but actually lots of it is still hidden. So I know that we're seeing a huge increase in the amount of people coming to us facing hate crime, but also the severity of violence that people are facing. It's a really sharp change. And so one of the things that we're going to be looking at doing this Hate Crime Awareness Week is kind of actually just raising the issue of saying this is still a problem, it's still something we need to stand up against together across strands. So, two things that we're going to be doing. One is releasing a piece of research, but also just flagging some of these things that hate crime is still a huge problem that lots of people face. So roughly 40% of LGBT plus people would experience hate crime, according to a massive survey of over 100,000 LGBT people, and that the vast majority are just not reported. So I think it's really striking when you see it here, just the scale that it's increased. Now, a good portion of this obviously is increased reporting, which is a good thing, but like I was saying, that really sharp increase in both number and scale of violence that we're seeing, I think, attests that actually this is not all reporting. This is a genuine turn of things going in the wrong direction. So I should say this is not unique to LGBT hate. This is across strands, but I think it's illustrated here, specifically about homophobia, biophobia and transphobia. Mark was mentioning the bombing of the Admiral Duncan, which I think is something that's a really kind of useful, an awful event that I think illustrates the scale where extremism and hate can lead to. So we've recently seen the anniversary of that. When you see so many rainbows in the streets of London Pride, I think it's really easy to think this is a thing of the past. Actually, so there was a couple that were planning to stage an attack at London Pride to drive a car into the crowds in the streets of London and attack people there. So actually that was fantastic. They prevented by some really fantastic work by the MPS and others. But actually this is still a live thing. This is still something that we need to stand up against. For Hate Crime Awareness Week, we will be launching a piece of research that basically looks into the levels of prejudice that still exist among the UK population. It found that low levels of people were uncomfortable having LGBT neighbours, but actually the most disturbing thing is that higher levels of people, young people, felt that being LGBT was immoral or against their beliefs. It's a really sharp change from historically what you would see with more inclusive attitudes among young people, and we've seen that reversed. I think that's a really kind of disturbing but useful thing to see. Actually, culture is changing in the UK. So some other things. 1 in 10 people said that being LGBT could be cured. 1 in 10 said that LGBT people were dangerous to other people. So this is a minority, but a really significant one. So to finish up, I saw the 5-minute sign there a little while ago. I'm just going to show you a video that we're going to be releasing alongside this piece of research.
Hi, Steph.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hannah, has there been a time in your life where you felt vulnerable?
I've hidden who I truly am
to make life more comfortable. And it would be nice to be able to say I'm bisexual and be proud of it.
It took me many years to find the courage to approach people, to talk to about the person I am.
I felt like a while ago, like if I had ever openly said that like I was gay or that I liked dudes, that I would like explode or implode or something, I don't know.
And now you feel cool?
Now I feel pretty chill. I'm kind of like, if anyone has a problem with anything, then that's on them, because I've got a good heart, I guess. Yeah.
The happiest day was to walk proudly where I work to a round of applause. Sorry. From then on, I've never looked back. You know, just respect people, be courteous to people. If we can all understand each other better, then we can all live our lives as we wish to.
Hello.
Hi.
Wonderful.
Great step.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Jay! You lovely man, you. Sweetheart.
Okay, that's it from me. Because lastly, to say that next door there are a couple of these guides, little booklets for LGBT people, walking through all sorts of things about kind of supportive advice, kind of ways to report, kind of different sources of help out there. If you'd like, feel free to just grab a selection, but also if you'd like some posted to you, feel free to give me a shout. And I will leave it there.